didn't see it on the channel, unfortunately. I had to catch up with it when I got home. But a good couple of winners yesterday. How's things?
Yeah, very good, thanks, Tom. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, good day yesterday.
Enjoying life, enjoying riding at the moment. All good, getting the opportunities you want.
Yeah, for sure. Based now with Ed Walker in Lambourn, and he's got a lot of horses, a lot of quality too amongst them. So yeah, we've had a good start to the year so far.
He, I don't know, it feels like it's been a really consistently good couple of years for Ed, and it must feel like a good time to be a part of that setup.
Yeah, it's a growing operation for sure. You know, a lot of new owners in the yard, quality along with quantity, and it's a growing operation, and I strongly believe he's only going in one direction. How
long has your association been with him over the years? When did you have your first few rides for him?
I'm unsure really. I probably had a few rides as an apprentice. There's always been an association there. When I was possibly riding for Charlie Hills a lot, I suppose I would have had a few rides for Ed, and then came across a good filly of Ed's called Dream Loper. That obviously won a couple of Group 1s, and he asked me. She ran in the what's the Group 1 at the back end of the year at Newmarket, the mile? Oh, the Sun Chariot. So, yeah. Yeah, she ran. I rode her in that, and she ran third. It was a huge run, and he called me at the beginning of the year asking whether I could commit to her for the rest of the season, and it was, yeah, I wasn't committed to anything else, so it was quite an easy decision. And she went on to win the Prix d'Espagne and the Moulin as well. So. Yeah, there's always been an association there, and it's sort of come back round now, and he's my main supporter.
Did you feel that when your time with John and Thady came to an end, or that retainer came to an end, did you know that Ed would be there? Or was that just a hope? It wasn't a case that you didn't feel it was your divine right to sort of go and be number one there?
Oh no, absolutely not. Obviously, you know, at the time when I was at John and Thady's, all my eggs were in one basket as such. I was predominantly only riding out for them at Clarehaven, so I didn't have. You do get some, you know, I was picking up outside rides, but I wasn't necessarily riding out for anybody else. So I suppose there was an element of concern when that all finished, but I must say, like, there was so much goodwill from so many people within the industry. A lot of I won't name any, but a lot of trainers reaching out, and Ed just being one of them, and asking whether I would be interested in coming in and riding out, and it just made a lot of sense because I hadn't made the move to Newmarket yet. I live, you know, near Newbury Lambourn, so I was only 10 minutes from Ed, so the commute was pretty accessible, and I went in there, started riding out. And Tom Marquand, probably at the time, was riding the majority, but obviously he was based is based with William Haggis. So Ed was just getting to the stage where he was getting bigger and probably needed a little bit more consistency with his jockey arrangements, and it made sense, and the transition was quite smooth, and you know, it's been quite fruitful today.
That goodwill that you mentioned, why do you think that was, and was it important to you?
Yeah, I think it was extremely important. It meant a lot. I am unsure as to why it was, but a lot of people reached out, and it was, you know, inevitably it was quite a tough time. You know, there was maybe 2-3 weeks after it happened where I was receiving a lot of messages, but all of a sudden, Tom, like, the music stops and you're left, you know, everyone moves on with their lives, and then you realise, oh, I've got to, you know, create new contacts. All of a sudden you don't have the horses anymore. So, you know, I suppose the biggest thing is the lack of time to process it all. Like, it all happens so quickly. So there's no looking back, and the Ed situation just arose, and it made the most sense at the time.
In some ways, had it happened at the end of a season, would that have been better or worse? In the sense that, because you're in the flow of a season, did that mean that there was a benefit to that because there was still opportunities there, or because you didn't have that time to process, did that make it harder in some ways?
I don't really know, to be honest. I think because we were in full swing, that you know, I lost a job, but I was still riding, having 4 or 5 rides a day. It was business as usual. You know, I was going racing, and of course I had to juggle a few things and you know, adapt and adjust slightly where I was going to be spending the majority of my times in the morning and where I was going to be putting the work in. But like I said, I feel very fortunate the way how smooth that transition was, where there was a lot of goodwill towards me, and I was able to slot in different areas quite relatively easily, I suppose. You know, when you expect losing a job, it can take a little bit of time to find your feet again, and but it happened all quite quickly, and I'm very happy with the position I'm in now, and it's been going well to date.
I think. I think the people will have perceived you conducting yourself in the best way possible, to be honest. I mean, it must have been tough to go through what happened, particularly just in the aftermath of this sort of time last year. But I think people really respected how you came out and spoke. You faced up to everything, but there was no sort of, you know, sense that you felt like you've been hard done by in any way. It felt like, I don't know how you felt, but, you know, ultimately people don't like moaning, right? They don't like watching people, and you didn't at all, and I think people appreciated that.
Yeah, I think people have got their own things going on. Like, I don't expect anybody to feel sorry for me. It was my job just to put my head down and prove to myself, I suppose, that I warranted being at the top and riding in the Group 1s, and I felt like it was my duty to do that. And, you know, there was a period where obviously the English Guineas and then the French Guineas, I suppose, a week later. And so there was reminders, like horses I rode, like Lead Artist, and the following week that came out and won the Lockinge, and it was a bit of there was a stint of probably a month where it was like,
come on,
honestly, heck, give me a break. But
yeah,
you know, then Royal Ascot came round, and I rode a couple of winners at Royal Ascot, and you just move on, and the season, you know, passes by, and you I didn't get a Group 1 winner last year, but couple of Group 2s, and you know, it takes a little bit of time to rebuild, and I feel like I'm in a strong position now, and some quality horses behind me, and it's I think you've got to look forward. Like, that is the most important thing. Like, you know, I'm a relatively young jockey in my career, and I believe it's all ahead of me, and you've just got to remain positive and look forward.
And to be fair, if you look at your when did it start? How old were you how old were you when you were an apprentice?
17.
17.
Yeah.
And so it feels like what are we, a good decade beyond that now? I mean, it feels like you've had a lot in your career. There's been a lot of ups and downs, right? Away from the track, on the track, to perhaps put you where you are now, to be able to speak the way you are now.
Yeah, I've been through quite a lot.
Yeah.
And I've learnt a lot about myself and how to, you know, adapt in certain situations, and sort of how to deal with controversies and adversities. And yeah, I'm very comfortable with the person I am today, Tom, and what will be, and I'm just making the most of the opportunities that come my way.
You're stronger for everything that has happened, clearly.
Oh, I think I have a great level of perspective too. Like, I've seen a lot, been through quite a bit myself, and it's, you know, I'm one to always look forward, put it that way.
It's Mental Health Awareness Week, which we're going to be talking about later on the show when I know you're not with us. But again, given what we're discussing there, and the life as a rider anyway, irrespective of what each individual has to go through, is that something that's always at the forefront of your mind, that the potential perils that are there for everyone?
Yeah, I think a lot more so now for I suppose the younger generation coming through on social media, and I mean, it's clearly quite a toxic space. And personally, I was, during the time I had the job at John and Thady's, I opted to come off social media, well, X in particular, and you know, it was something I could control. There was I was experiencing like a lot of like all my rides were under the microscope as per se, and I think that was a strong element of that was obviously trying to step into the shoes of Frankie Dettori, but I couldn't control any of that. There was a period of like maybe 10 days where I just felt like I was on the front page of everything on our trade paper, and I felt maybe slightly let down by that. There were a few headlines that I thought was slightly disappointing, like Shoemark riding with fear and stick or twist, and I just thought that was quite unnecessary. From our trade newspaper, you know, it felt very clickbaity, or be it, you know, coming off X, I could control that to a point where, you know, I no longer had to sort of see any of that. But, you know, I always believed in my own ability. It wasn't affecting me. It was just more frustrating more than anything. It wasn't affecting my riding as such, but it was just like, come on, like. But I think it's certainly a challenge for the younger generation coming through. Like, a lot of the senior jockeys would have started their riding career not being when social media wasn't so prevalent, and sort of, you know, the younger generation now just being so fully immersed in it. And there is a lot of support. I don't know the solution, if there is a solution for it, but there's certainly some support out there, which I think is needed, and it's poignant we talk about it through like Mental Health Awareness Week. Yeah.
Your solution was to come off X, for example, because of the toxicity you felt that was on there. Would that affect you? Would that be it, you know, criticism or worse, or just, you know, horrible comments, vitriolic comments from people you have no idea who they are? Would that affect you personally, or, as you say, was it more, you know, trade paper or people who you might know that you're seeing your name put up in lights in a slightly negative way that would affect you that little bit more?
No, the social media thing didn't affect me. I just thought it was silly to be on it.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't find it particularly informative. You know, X. I didn't need to. It wasn't essential that I was on social media, so I could control that. But yeah, like I said, I felt slightly let down by our trade paper. I felt like it was almost a bit of a morbid blogging of oneself. Like, it was just constant, you know, sort of looking at the negatives. And
I totally understand that. But it was strange to look back on what a talking. There was a period, as you say, of a couple of weeks where it was just such a talking point. Because I guess that's what we do, right? That's what we do. You know, I'd come in and work with someone, and it would just be on the day a talking point. And it's your life, and you're living it.
I understand everybody has a job to do.
Yeah.
But I suppose, when I just going back to, you know, stick or twist, and it's just, I wouldn't want to read that about anybody else. Like Shoemark riding with fear. Like, it's just, I think it's a little bit unnecessary, and it's not something I would, if I saw that headline, I wouldn't feel obliged to pick that up and read that and get anything from that if I was reading that about somebody else, you know.
As you look ahead to this season, when you go out, do you feel? I remember I talked to you at the start of the year, and I said something stupid like, you know, you go into this year with less pressure, and you were like, no, there's just as much pressure as ever, because you're still riding to win, right? But I guess what I was getting at is, do you feel, is there a bit more freedom now, or do you feel differently going into rides in 2026 or not?
I think I naturally put pressure on myself because I want to win, I want to perform to my best of abilities. And when you're riding good horses, of course there is pressure. You know, there's potential stallion careers for horses afterwards, and But I seem to have a very good relationship with Ed Walker, and he makes things very comfortable and very easy for me. And ultimately, Tom, I'm in there riding a lot. I know the staff particularly well, and you know, there's a lot of, you know, I think when you're in there and you really feel part of a team, it creates dialogue. So myself and Ed are always talking about, you know, past races, upcoming entries and stuff like that. And there's an intimate feel to it, I suppose. And, you know, just being 10 minutes, his yard being 10 minutes away from where I live, and it's very accessible, and I enjoy going in and riding out there, and I hope it's a relationship that can materialise and sort of thrive with years to come.
So just as much pressure, but you're enjoying that feeling like a massive cog in that wheel.
Yeah, yeah. I think I thrive in that position personally, rather than being maybe freelance as such. I enjoy being part of a team, and it's certainly got that team feel to it.
Are you quite a people person? Are you quite a... You're very friendly, do you know what I mean? You're very open, it seems.
Yeah.
And I think some people thrive in that environment,
yeah.
and some people thrive by completely trying to keep themselves to themselves.
Yeah, I think I like to think I'm quite personable. I enjoy conversation, and as you said, I'm pretty open. And I'm one to much rather talk about, if there's an issue, to talk about it. And I don't like being in that sort of position where you're slightly left in the unknown. I like to get things out in the open, and yeah, that's kind of my personality, I suppose.
I think because some people can get energy off other people, can't they? Being around other people, and there are others who, you know, it can really take all their energy away from them. But I guess when you're in the position you're in, riders are, you're going into yards, you're sort of the centre of attention from when you walk in there or into the racecourse. Like there's people around you the whole time, and that can be incredibly draining, I would imagine, for some people. But it's part of your job, right? You're pretty much the centre of attention the whole time.
Yeah, I suppose so. But you know, when you go into yards in the morning, you know, they're putting in the hard graft, and at the end of the day, I'm just the one that's lucky enough to ride them in the races, and it can be rewarded by doing so. But you know, they're putting in all the hard work, and everybody behind the scenes. So yeah, it's important. I think I go into the yard and be extremely positive, whether the yard is going through a bad patch or something like that. I feel a responsibility to sort of try and boost the morale.
So the life of do you clearly love and relish the life of a jockey? As somebody that has no idea really what it's like, I mean, it does look. It's got to be tough, right? You've got to from managing your weight consistently to doing lots of miles in the car. Is basically it measured on success? Is that generally how happy you are on a day depends on how well you're doing?
Yeah, for sure.
Otherwise, it's graft. Otherwise, it's tough.
Yeah,
right?
There are days where they are working days. You know, where you're travelling maybe up north for one ride and it gets a beaten favourite. Like, that is a working day. There's little enjoyment about that. But going to, you know, the Dante Festival at York, like, amazing racing, riding good horses. It's exciting. You enjoy going to work for sure. And I think that's the majority of a career as a jockey. You know, there are a lot of ups and downs, but the good days outweigh the bad days for sure.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of bad days.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, I think it's important to try and stay measured and not get too high or too low. And you know, as a result, you kind of get through it.
But that buzz or those good days is something else, right?
Oh, for sure. Riding a stakes winner and on a good horse, or winning a trial and on an unexposed 3-year-old, that could potentially be anything. It's what it's all about.
What horses are you thinking this year might just get you and Ed or anyone else to that top level? Are there some that you can't wait to get back on, or some that we haven't seen yet this season?
Oh yeah, there's some. I suppose a horse that stands out would be Al McCam.
When it rains.
When it rains. Oh, he's got an entry in France on Thursday in the Prix d'Espagne. think it's called, is it the Aga Khan?
Yeah.
Sorry. So he's got an entry there, unsure of the weather forecast, but he's also in the Tats Gold Cup. He was third in the Champion Stakes, ran probably a career best behind Clandagan and Ombudsman. So he's a really exciting horse, and we just hope he can sort of win a Group 1 this year.
Would it be over 10 if he's going to, or could it be a mile and a half?
I think there's quite a lot of speed there.
Okay, interesting. So you'd be more confident over 10 than anything.
Yeah, I think he can absolutely win a mile and a half is well within his reach, but just a couple of times I've ridden him, I always thought there was a lot of untapped speed there.
Was he a bit unfortunate last year with how the weather turned out?
Yeah, it was frustrating. I felt for Ed and the team there because they're sitting on this exceptionally talented horse, and there was, we had a particularly dry summer, and it must have been so frustrating for them when, they felt they couldn't run him on quicker conditions, and clearly he is better with the, softer ground underfoot. So, it was a tough time for them.
Because they took him out the Arc.
Yeah.
And then it was biblical the day before.
Yeah.
And then it basically didn't rain up until Champions Day, right?
Yeah.
Was that ground a bit on the quick side for him on Champions Day?
It was good. It was good ground. Like it was probably quick ground for the time of the year, but it was ultimately only good ground. And I think it was probably a career best, isn't it?
But for him, if you're going to pick it, would you choose?
Oh, easier on the softer side. I think is probably his optimal. But he's very exciting, and he deserves to win a Group 1. And just looking forward to it. Whether it's he's going to go to France on Thursday, or wait for the Tats Gold Cup. Like, it's competitive racing. I think it's a particularly strong crop this year. So it's highly competitive. But we're hopeful.
There are some nice 3-year-old fillies, aren't there? Prettiest Star and the filly that was second in the Musadora, who you're going to remind me the name of. But they're Felicitas. Yeah. But what are your hopes for them this season? Yeah,
so she, the Prettiest Star, ran huge in the Guineas. She was going there without having a prep run, didn't run in a trial, so she only had 2 runs, finishing as a 2-year-old, finished second in the Rockfell. Which was a huge run. So she was good. She went to the Guineas. Probably ideally would have liked to have had a prep run in a trial, but she ran a big race. I still thought she looked quite green into the dip. She just wandered slightly, but she's got an exciting future. I think she has got plenty of speed. I'm not 100% sure what they're going to do come Ascot, whether they run it in the Coronation, stay at a mile, or drop back. I'm unsure just yet. And then Felicitas in the Musadora on Wednesday. I think naturally from a competitive person's point of view, it's slightly disappointed to get beat. But she was only 2. She had an impeccable race record going into that. She had only had the 2 runs, and there's two very good fillies going head-to-head from a long way out. And
was your filly outstayed, do you think?
Outstayed, ultimately, I think, outstayed. But that's what a trial's for. You go there to learn something. And, actually at Sandown, I thought she hit the line really well, very, very strongly, and I thought she would stay a mile and a half. So it was, you go to a trial and you actually learn, no, she's not going to. And possibly the Diane is the next option. But a huge run, and she'd had 2 runs, winning Lingfield Maiden on the all-weather, and then going to Sandown and probably winning both very comfortably, and probably hadn't been in that ding-dong battle before. And I felt like myself and Colin, and obviously he was on Legacy Link, were probably at it from 3 furlongs down. Like, it was quite a grueling effort into a headwind. So, and we were just slightly vulnerable in that last half furlong.
I feel like you got unfinished business in France now.
That's probably fair.
Yeah.
Although, albeit, I've had a lot of luck in France too. I mean, of course, I presume you're referring to the 1,000 guineas.
Well, just a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what was not? Like what I enjoyed about that was the whole King Shoey stuff about you. You know, the whole how everyone just got behind you so much. Like it was. Obviously, it was, I imagine, an awful day for everyone involved and the aftermath. But that team really got behind you, like celebrated you.
The Basher Watts and his syndicate, yeah. Oh, no, they've been great. And I think they're great for racing, ultimately. I think it's so important to have that new wave coming through and
a young syndicate that can compete in classics is, I mean, it's unheard of.
Unheard of,
It's virtually impossible.
And yeah, I think we all appreciate and they certainly acknowledge that they've had a lot of luck along the way. It's pretty, like you said, unheard of to pay maybe 60,000 pounds for a breeze-up horse that can, you know, first past the post in a classic on a third start is ridiculous, really. But
and then they still gave it to one of the big boys in the argument. There you go. Yeah, it was a bit like Celtic Hearts last night. Yeah,
but magical for them. Like, I know. Obviously, we lost it in the stewards' room, but what a huge day! And it's been great for, I think, their syndicate and their profile, and they seem to be very much in demand. And I think it's really important that we champion the syndicates coming through. Like, I think it's to a degree, it's probably the future of our sport. We see the Australian model going forward, and you know, there's so many owners that have micro shares in horses, and it's their model is thriving on it.
But particularly for these classics, when you look at the sparsity of the standards you can have access to if you can't play at the top level, who are going to get you these classic horses. I think that's why it was so refreshing to see it. It wasn't like it was a big handicap on a Saturday. It was a classic, and that's why I think it was. And then you've got the whole social media content of it all, which came with it, which people really buy into.
People do buy into that. Absolutely, yeah. I had people
you love watching it.
Yeah. I had people come up to me and say that, you know, they've been in racing all their lives and they've never been an owner or sole owner, but they said, like, that would, if I were to ever buy into a horse, like, that would be the direction I'd want to go in. It just looks so, he makes it look so much fun, and the whole experience, the whole day out, and obviously it's all captured. But yeah, I think he's doing a great job, Basher, and yeah, he deserves all the success he has. That's for sure.
Just overall, looking ahead to Epsom, are you likely to have any big rides there? Do you think that you're looking forward to, or not certain?
Yeah, I don't think I've got anything at the moment in either of the classics there. I think she's perfect, actually, going to Epsom.
Is she?
Yeah, for the mile. But yeah.
The Mile Fillies race?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And will she take a step forward, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. She'd actually she had 10 months off when she returned at Goodwood in a particularly hot listed race, I thought. Was it the Conqueror? Yeah. But I had galloped her a couple of times prior to that, and she was, I think, always going to come on for that. So hopefully she can hit those heights again, and yeah, it'd be great for that.
And Ed aside, it feels like you're. I mean, there's opportunities aplenty from other trainers as well.
Yeah, I'm riding out. So I try and get to Newmarket maybe once a week, and for Charlie Fellows, and I also pop into Harry Charlton. One day a week as well, and he's got I think he's got some nice 3-year-olds in there, so it's I'm pretty busy, and there's a lot of horses there to ride, so yeah, it's an exciting time.
Yeah, very much so. Kieran, thank you.